everybody. Thank you all so much for joining us today. This is going to be a great day. We are so excited to talk all about our new visual garden planner and talking all about planning our spring garden and get excited for the upcoming season. It is very exciting. And I hope you guys are as excited as we are. And I welcome all of you. Welcome everybody. I see people are in the chat already. Hello, everybody. And today it's going to be me and my husband, Dale. We are both going to be, it looks like he's popping on right now. Here he is.
How's it going, everyone?
Hi. So, for those of you who don't know us, we are the creators of Park Seeds app, From Seed to Spoon. And we created it back in when was it that we created it?
2017, 18.
Yeah. It's been a while now. But we started gardening a few years before that, and it's just learned a lot along the way. And we're like, we need to have an app for that. So we worked on doing that.
Like Carrie said, we started this app back then, and when we started it, like our big goal was to have what we're showing you today. It was basically a visual garden planner that lets you lay your garden out and keep track of it all that way. So we are so excited to release this feature because this has been the dream since we started it. We're so excited about this.
And I see everybody popping in the chat and saying hi. Hi, everybody. I see. Oh, that's beautiful weather, Michelle, up in North Carolina. Nice. We're in zone 7 in Oklahoma. And what is it right now? It's probably like 60 degrees or so. It's pretty cool, but it's been nice. Oh, welcome, Smart Pots. We love having Smart Pots in here. They are our fellow Oklahomans. They are all here too. They make everything here in Oklahoma City. It's amazing. I see everybody. There's a lot of you guys. So if I miss popping up some of you, I'm sorry. But I will encourage you guys, continue to pop into the chat and comment away, ask any questions you have or anything like that. Because each comment that you do post in there will get you entered in to win. And we will do a drawing at the end for a free 1-year premium app subscription. So that's very exciting.
All right. Do we want to jump in and start this demo? What do you think?
Oh, hold up. I need to do the giveaway from last week. So we do, because we feel bad, like not everybody can always make our live streams. So we do one like after the live streams are over until the next one starts. So for the last workshop, because we do this every Tuesday, we're always here hanging out with you guys. And last week we talked all about November and what to do indoors and outdoors and all that. It was a really fun conversation. So if you missed it, definitely go check that out. But we have a winner. Let's see. I pulled her name right before. Congratulations. She was entered in. This was one that came in from Facebook. So thank you, Anita. I'm glad that she had fun hanging out with us. And if you are joining us, sorry, I'm getting attacked by flies. I'm sorry. I'm just going like this a lot. I'm sorry. Anyways, Anita, it sounds like was one that she joined us during it and commented after the fact too. So I do want to make sure you guys are aware that if you are joining us today and you don't win, go back in and comment after the fact and be entered in to win for the next drawing too. So that way you get 2 times by getting the chance to win. Okay.
All right. We ready to jump in and show our demo?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay. So what we wanted to do today was walk through how to use the new visual planner to plan your garden. There's a couple of different ways we're going to show this. We're going to show if you're a brand new user or if you have a brand new garden you're setting up, we're going to show how to set it up like that. We're also going to show how to take existing gardens. So if you've already been logging your plants in the app, we're going to show what that will look like for you and how you can put those on the grid as well. So if you have any questions as we're going through, just pop them in chat and Carrie will pop them up. But I'm going to try to just go through. It's very casual and informal and just kind of show you how you can use the planner. So we go to the dashboard first. You can see this is the first screen you're going to see when you come into the app. And I've already got a garden bed set up in here for a 4x4, but I'm going to set up a brand new one so you can see how to go about doing that. So if you go to create new garden bed here, I can type in a new one. I'll name this one test garden for what we're doing today. It's going to ask you the dimensions. I'm going to leave it 4x4. And now you are in the visual builder. So at this point, it's really easy. If you wanted to go through and start planning out your garden. So let's say this is a spring garden that we're going to plan out. We're going to map out and figure out what all we want to grow in the spring. We know we want to grow some root crops and some greens and maybe some peas. So let's go ahead and click on this top one here, and you'll see that it gives us our full plants list of everything we have in the app and any custom plants you've added as well. If you want to add a plant that is not in our database, you can use this add custom plant right here, and that will let you go through and do that. But I'm going to choose, let's go with lettuce. I'm going to search for it. So I search for lettuce. I can click on it, and now it places it on the grid where I initially clicked. So at this point, I can do a couple things. If I want to have this one lettuce plant that's in my garden span multiple grid columns or cells, you can just click to do that. So if I click confirm, then you'll see I've got these 4 here in the grid. If I go over to list view, I've just got one lettuce plant. This is one way to use the planner, to where you want to have one plant that spreads across multiple rows. So maybe this is all the same variety of lettuce, and you don't want to have individual plantings for each one of them because they're all grouped together. There's really no reason to. So that's one way you could do it. Let's show another way. So maybe I've got 2 rosemary plants here and here that are just perennial rosemary plants that are always in that bed. So what I want to do there is I want to add a rosemary here. Now I could click over here to add that rosemary there as well. And maybe if I planted them at the same time or if they were the same variety, I'd want to. But for this case, I want to go ahead and have one rosemary here. I'm going to go ahead and label this one the variety. ARP is the variety. And then this corner, we're going to add another rosemary. Now, the cool thing is anything you recently planted will show right up here. And you can just click on it to add again. Makes it really easy to add more versions of a plant. And we'll add that one in. I'm going to go ahead and label this one too. We'll say this one is Hill Hardy. There's another variety of rosemary we typically have. So now I've got 2 rosemary plants, and then I've got my lettuces here. Let's go over to the list for a second so you can see what this looks like. So we've got our 2 rosemary plants here, and then that one lettuce. So there's a couple ways you can use this grid. We wanted it to be flexible, so that if you wanted to be able to label it one way or another, you could do both ways. So I wanted to show that. Let's go ahead and finish planting out the rest of this grid. We're going to have some spinach.
And we did get a question about if this was based off of square foot gardening.
It is. So we started with square foot gardening whenever we started our garden. Now, you don't have to use square foot gardening in order to use the planner, but it is built on those concepts and a lot of the data that you see. Like if you go into spinach, our details for the growing guide. So up here on the top header for many of your plants, you can go to the growing guide. And we have the square footage in here of number per square. So this all comes from square foot gardening. You can see more in this video right here. Another thing to show too, like if y'all haven't noticed, like these question marks are all clickable. And a lot of them have videos that Carrie created to talk about that specific thing that you're looking at. So, okay, so we've got our spinach in here now. Get back to our grid where we were. So we've got our spinach we added. I'm going to go ahead and so I at first I just put 1 in here, but now I'm thinking, you know what? I just want to do the whole row of this as Bloomsdale. So I come in here. I spelled Bloomsdale wrong. Bloom.
And that's actually a variety that we have in the store if you want to show that as well.
Sure. Yeah. So we can come in here and click on choose here and then click on Bloomsdale right there. So if I want to expand this to go across multiple rows, I could click on that and then click on adjust. And now I can go in here and change it. So I could go multiple columns if I want. So I click that. And now if I come into list, then that spinach, it's just in there one time, but it spans multiple rows. Now, a feature that we're going to be adding here really soon that's not quite ready yet is the ability to take, like if you've done this and you think, you know what, I really want to have each of these split up to be their own individual plant. We're going to have an option in here really soon to be able to do that. So not quite ready yet, but that is something that we are working on that will hopefully help make this easier too, especially with seed starting and stuff. And we'll get into some of those other concepts later on. I have notes of what I'm supposed to talk about. Let me pull it up and make sure I don't miss anything. Karen, did you send me those notes? I don't see
What's
them.
that?
Did you send me those notes?
I did.
There they are. Okay, I got them. Okay. Make sure I did not. Oh, removing plants. I want to show that as well. So, say, for example, this rosemary did not make it, unfortunately, and you want to remove it from the grid. A couple ways you can do this. You can come in here, you can click on more, and then remove plant from grid. That's the easiest way. And if it spans multiple places, it'll remove all four. So, like, let me come into one that is all four, like lettuce, and then I remove plant from grid. See how it removed all four of them? It's still going to be over here in list, so it doesn't completely remove it from the garden. If you want to completely remove it from the garden, then you need to go to archive plant, and then that will take this plant and move it into archive. So let's show that. I've got this rosemary. We'll say this rosemary did not make it. We're going to archive the rosemary. Now, that rosemary is not in the list, and if I go to archive, I see it over here. So each garden will have its own archive where you can go back and look at plants from previous seasons or previous years. We also have a really fast way to be able to archive a whole garden. I'll go ahead and do that just to kind of show. So up in here on the garden, if you expand the menu, there's archive garden, and this will take everything in there and move it to archive. So now I'm back to nothing again. And if I go to archive, then I've got all these plants here that I had before. So I can go in and kind of see what I was doing the previous year or previous season, see all my notes and all that kind of stuff. Okay, let's look at plant details a little bit more.
So we had a question of what to do if the plant is bigger.
Okay, so let's say, for example, like a tomato is a good example of this. Not really relevant for this time of year, but you have like a bush tomato, and that bush tomato is going to take up, I mean, they can take up to 9 squares. We'll say this one takes up 4 squares. So this is how you could handle that situation where the plant is bigger than just 1 square. So this one tomato now takes up 4 squares. If I go to list, I've just got that one tomato, so it's not like I have 4 individual tomatoes. Now, we are looking at how we could change the UI of this to be a little more clear, so it isn't just 4 tomatoes. It's just kind of one big tomato that overlaps all 4. Still looking into how we can do that. We're still working on that, but there is a way you can handle that. Okay, so we've got this tomato here. Let's use this one to show some of the features available once you click on a plant or tap on a plant. So this selected plant screen here shows you everything that you can do for that plant. So we've already gone over adjust. We showed how you can use that to adjust how many it takes up. We'll go ahead and make this one 9. Show that again. We've also got note or photo. So with this one, I could pull it up here. You could take a picture. I don't know if it's going to take a picture. I don't know what it's going to do because this is I'm showing a simulator. Yeah. So on your phone, that will work and you'll be able to take a picture. I'm like using a simulator on my computer, so it doesn't know what camera to use or anything. But I could come in here, type some notes, save. Now, if I want to see those notes later, I can click on the plant. And then right here, we have these tabs at the very top, make it easy. And you can see here's the note I just added. If there was an image on there, it would show as well. Can also log an event. So if you click on log event, say that you fertilized all of these. You want to keep track of that. You can add an event for fertilize. Oh my gosh, I can never type. a demo. Okay, so espoma. I think I misspelled espoma too. Oh well.
It's okay. We all know what you mean.
So I've got in here, I can go and see here's the log events of that I created. So you can kind of see how you can manage your plants without having to go into the details and do it right there. It's right here, a quick and easy way. I'm so excited to use this in our garden this spring because this is what we wanted. Like we have a really big garden and we have a lot of raised beds to keep track of. And keeping track of it, like in the list view before, could be difficult at times for us. I'll freely admit this as the app developer. Like this is the pain point we've been trying to solve for our own garden for years now, and this is going to make it so much easier to manage my plants in the garden because although I am like a computer nerd and I'm a developer and stuff, I like to be like when I'm doing gardening stuff, I don't want to be looking at a computer or thinking about a screen or a phone or any of that. Like I want to be disconnected from the digital world and in my garden. And we wanted the app to allow you to do that as quickly as possible without having to go through and scroll through a bunch of stuff and do all these things to try and figure out what you need to do to manage your plants. It's very simple. So you can, if I've got another plant here, say I've got some cilantro, we'll make this a salsa garden in the middle of November. You guys understand what we're doing here. So I've got cilantro maybe all around the border here. I could come in here and then, make notes on that plant or switch to my tomato and make notes on that plant. This should make it very easy for being able to keep track of your plants and manage them in the app without having to do a lot of clicking around. So let's look at what all we've got in this more menu because there's some stuff that's pretty useful in here as well. We've got this move plant to another garden. So this is especially going to be useful with seed starting, which stick around to the end because I'm going to have some stuff I'm going to show of this whole new like seed starting interface that we're going to be rolling out here really soon. I'm not going to show it right now, but stick around to the end and I'll show that. This move plant to another garden is going to be critical for that. So if I wanted to, I'm going to take the cilantro down to just one. So I can make it a little more clear here. So I got my cilantro and I want to move it to another garden. I can click on that. Now it brings up a list of all my gardens I've got here. That chooses 4x4 number 1. It takes me into that garden, and now I can mark where it's supposed to go in that garden. So that's a really helpful and useful feature for being able to take plants and move them around, whatever you need to do on there. Let's add a new plant back into here, so I got something to test with. All right, so this rosemary, if I go into the more menu again, another thing we just added is the ability to change background color. And I think, let me show like the way that I think this is going to be most useful. If I go to our biodome seed starting, and let's, we're going to be starting some more lettuce here soon because we're pretty much starting lettuce like year round to be planted at either in our sunroom or in like a patio grow tower that we have. So let's say I've got 2 different varieties of lettuce that I've got going here, right? And I want to be able to kind of quickly at a glance see which one's which. I could come in here and set this lettuce to be a background color of, say, this green. And maybe I could set this one to either be the normal background color or I could set it to a different green. Well, that's like the same green, isn't it? Did I do the same green? I'll do a red. Make it real clear. Okay. So now this makes it really easy to see, at a glance, oh, these are different lettuce varieties. And if I tap on that, then I could come in here and see if I had the variety in there, then you would see it in this screen. Now I do. So you see the variety butterhead. We also have like how long ago it was planted, how long until the next harvest. We will have more features coming out through the course of the spring that add in more useful things in here, like telling you when to fertilize, things like that. That's where we're going with this feature. We don't have that ready quite yet.
So we've had a few questions about showing, like, if we're doing square foot gardening, like how to represent the number of plants that are in that square.
Okay, let's show that. So turnips. If I go to turnips and I plant this in all 4, let's say I had 16 of these in each square. What I could come in here is do an amount per square of 16. And now when I click on that plant, I'll be able to come in here and see that it's 16 per square. There have been some suggestions to add in like a number in the bottom right showing how many per square are in there. We're looking at that. We're trying really hard not to clutter the interface with too many things, and we want to be able to do things like show, like on this plant, like if it needs to be watered, have like an icon for that. So we're treading carefully with how many things we add onto here, but we do see the value in having that number icon there. We're still working through some complexities on how to make that work correctly and how to make it all calculate correctly. um, won't go into the details on that, but um, yeah, that's a way that you can handle that now with being able to keep track of how many per square that you have. Any other questions that have come in that I need to?
I did want to pop this one up too, because this is a perfect use case for what you were just showing with the different colored backgrounds. This would be a great idea for showing different varieties of a plant, or if you did a succession planting of the same plant. So you want to represent like different times, things like that. So thank you, Carol.
I love that idea. So think about this, like succession planting. You could come in here and maybe have like, I planted a row of lettuce and a row of carrots, and maybe I planted both of these at the same time. So I want to make all of that like this blue, like both of these rows. I want to make blue. And then the next week I come in and I plant another row. Then I could make those, make those red or something. So I really like that idea. That's a great use case for this feature. You know, it's one of the things I love about doing these live streams is we build features in anticipation of how we think things will be used, and then you guys give us other ways that you're using it, and it really helps out because you know, understanding how everyone is using these features helps us make sure that we don't, you know, break a feature or make it worse, but also the direction that we need to take future features. Man, that's a tough one. But I love that. Yep. So you could do succession planting. You know, that change background color is pretty open ended. And I saw in the chat, we've got our developers in the chat, and Patrick right now is working on the ability also to change these icons that are in the grid. This is going to be especially useful for custom plants. Right now, if you add a custom plant, I'm only going to enter like basic data here, but every custom plant looks like this in the grid. And that is definitely not how we wanted it to stay. And so our first release, our next release is going to have the ability to come in here and change this photo so that you can have either custom plants, or if you want to change the icon for any of our plants too, you can change that as well. You'll be able to upload whatever image you want, and we will crop it down and make it to where it'll work in the grid. So that's coming out hopefully this week. There's a chance that comes out this week. Patrick is going to have it ready for me to do some testing, and we'll see how that testing goes. But our goal is to roll it out for you this week. Okay, let me look at my list again. Something else I want to make sure I cover is if you go into a garden bed, and maybe you're like, you know, I don't know what I want to plant here yet. You've got this new bed and you're not really sure. A feature that I want to show is on the home screen. If you go to the themes section, did I miss it? Did I just like skip right over? There it is, garden bed themes. So if you go into one of these themes, like pasta garden, for example, you can actually add all of these straight to a garden bed. So this add all varieties to garden bed right here. And then I can click on the bed. And now if I go to that garden bed, they're not in the grid yet, but they are in the list view. And this gives us a great way to talk about something else that I wanted to show, which is the idea of if you're coming into this update or this grid feature and you've already got like a whole list of plants in your database. And I actually set up a garden. Which one did I do? I set up a garden to specifically test this. Hold on. I got to find it. Here it is. So this 4x4 number 2 bed. I built this one to be a representation of how I feel some of you may have your garden set up now for plants that are perennials. So let's imagine this is an herb bed, and here's everything I've got in it. And if you were to come into the app like right now, this is what it would look like. Technically, it's going to look like this reset garden. It would look like this. So the first step is to just declare how big that garden is. So we're going to do 4x4. And now what you can do is when you click on one of these pluses here, see, by default, we're going to switch you to this existing plants tab up here that shows you these are all the plants that you have in your list view. They're not on the grid yet. That's why we have this not on grid. If there's better terminology for us to use besides not on grid, throw it at us. Because I don't know if that's the best term for us to use, but we struggled a lot with trying to come up with the right words here. But the basic idea is that this plant is not on the grid yet. It's here, it's in the list view, but it's not on grid. So when you try and add a plant, if there are any plants that you have in your list view, we're going to pop you to this screen instead. Now you can go to new plant and add a new one if you want, just like we saw earlier. But by default, it's going to come in here until this not in grid plant section is empty. And then it'll go to that new plant screen by default. So I don't remember where I clicked. I clicked top left corner. I kind of mapped this out like this imaginary garden in my head. So we're going to have a rosemary on each corner. Let's see, I can come in here and just keep adding the ones that are already in my list view. And I'm going to add them until we get them all on there, and you'll see how it switches over. But one of the things we spent a lot of time working through at the end of development on this was making sure that the process for all of you that already have all these plants in your database is seamless and smooth, and it's not difficult to get this stuff onto the grid. Let me go through and add the rest of these. And we'll probably do like a row, chives. But you'll see, like, look how easy this is, y'all, to go through and plan out and map your garden. Now, obviously, I'm just clicking at random, but it's not going to be that much harder to do this for your actual garden. So at this point, I've got everything in there. I can't click on to add another one to show that. I just realized because they're all full. So let me remove. I'm going to archive this rosemary so I can show you. So now if I go in and click a new one, it's going to go to the new tab because all of the ones from existing plants are already on the grid. So hopefully that makes sense and that's not confusing to anyone. One of the complex things we had to work through is how to handle all the existing gardens that are out there and make them work with this and make it easy to populate these grids.
You want to try throwing in a fennel there and see what happens? We've gotten a few questions about that.
Yep, I forgot to show off that here. So what Carrie is talking about is we have this companion plant feature as well. Fennel's a great one to test with because it's a negative companion to everything. So we always know to throw fennel in one for testing companion planting. But you'll see that if you add something next to a plant that they should not go next to each other, it'll give you a warning and say bad companion. So this red X represents all the places it's a bad companion. It probably should be a bad companion for time too, but we'll look at that. Now, did I cover everything, Gary? Oh, one other thing I want to show too. Another feature we have in here is this Ask Growbot About Rosemary feature. Well, this will apply to all plants, but let me show you how this works. So if you click on this Ask Growbot About Rosemary, it's going to take you into this screen, and you could add a photo. So you could take a picture of your rosemary and say, what's wrong with this or something like that. I'm going to say, how long should my rosemary seeds take to sprout? The data is in the app, but I'd rather come in here and ask it. Okay, so I've got the answer here. Now, one other thing you can do is you can take this and then save it back to that plant. So you've got it forever. So if I go and click on this note icon right here, we've got two buttons. We've got share and we've got create note. You tap on that create note, then it lets you do create garden plant note, and you can choose which garden it's associated back to. So now I can save that. And now when I go to that rosemary, then we've got those notes that we got from Growbot are right here. So that's something else I wanted to call out. I think that's going to be especially more useful as we continue to add into it. As you can like take pictures of your plants, upload that kind of stuff. I can really see that being super useful for keeping track of things like diseases, pests that are attacking it, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, I think I covered the stuff that we've got on our list, are there any questions that came up that I may have missed or anything that we want to cover in more detail?
Yes. Let me pull up. I was saving a couple because you were on a roll there. Um, okay, here's one. Can you change the date on a plant that was planted last year?
Yeah, so if you click on a plant here and go into details, then I could come in here and I could change this date to be whatever I want it to be. So we'll say this one was May 1st is when it was actually planted. So any of those details are editable just by going in and clicking on that plant, and then you can change all that stuff right here. And then we've also got things like estimated seed sprouting that's in here, projected harvest, all that kind of stuff is in there as well. And we're going to continue adding more things that are useful for you to kind of use your planting to give you more data, like when to fertilize next, all that kind of stuff is what we're working on for the spring.
We did have several questions about like having more than one thing per square. I know that's not something that we have right now, but
It's not officially, but you could do it. So if you wanted to come in here to, well, what you'd have to do, what I'm suggesting is like multiple varieties in the same square. You can't do like there's lettuce and arugula in this square right now. But if I had a square that was lettuce and or the cilantro and it was like a mix of different varieties, technically you could come in here and type whatever you want in variety. So
or notes, or even create a custom plant if it's like a mix of if you're planting like a salad mix that has a bunch of different ones in it or something like that.
mhm, yep. I'm curious to hear from you all if if the ability to add multiple plants into one grid is something that a lot of people would like. Um, let me know. I'd like to hear some use cases on how you would use that, what type of plants would go together, and how that works. So let me know. Hey, I see a question from Julia. I want to pop up. Absolutely, and here's the reason why. A lot of times, if you wait until the spring to start planting your garden, you're going to find that there's seeds that you thought you had that you don't, and then you got to order them, and then you're like all ready to go, and you're excited to plant, and now you got to wait a couple days to get your seeds in. So that's one of the reasons why I recommend planning out your spring garden now, is so that you make sure you have seeds. It's also like just something I like to do when it's really cold outside and I'm missing the garden and I'm like daydreaming about spring in the middle of winter. It's another kind of fun task to do, is just kind of daydream about what all you're going to grow, where. Um, it's also useful for if you're wanting to grow a lot of different varieties of things, or you have different specific plans of things you want to grow. Being able to map it out and see what's going to go where helps you understand, okay, I'm going to need to build more gardens, or I'm going to have to buy more smart pots or things like that. So
This was a great question. Oh, it went
you're good.
away.
I get my hands off the wheel now. You're good.
This was a good question too. Um, so they were wondering how to go ahead about planting the spring garden when they still have fall plants in.
That is a great question, Harry. um yep, so if you already have those plants that are in a grid space, one thing you could do is you could add it just in the list. So you could say, this is a rosemary that I'm planning. You could put a future date in there and it not be in the grid. That's one way you could handle it, but that's an interesting question. Um, yeah, I think I would recommend just putting those plants on the grid, like what's currently there now, and then just adding to the list view what you want to plant next. But that is a place for us to explore maybe some potential features for future planning or succession planting or something like that. So that's interesting. Thank you for sharing that.
And then I wanted to pop Smart Pot's response out here saying it's a great idea to start planning. You can find a lot of great deals right now. And I did want to call out too. So Park Seed is having their biggest seed sale like of the year. It's a really good deal. Um, yeah, so check that out.
Yep, it's 20% off all seeds and then $2.95 shipping on all seed orders too. So great time to stock up on your seeds and get ready, because seed starting is going to be here before we know it. We're going to be starting seeds for broccoli and cauliflower in a month, pretty much. Like we start those at
Well,
the end of
even
November.
tomatoes and peppers. I mean, I feel like we're going to blink and it's going to be time to do that.
Yep, absolutely.
But yeah, I wanted to make sure that I called that out because now they are correct. Like now is a time where you can find a lot of really good deals before all of the varieties disappear that you really want to try. So you can find some really great varieties and things like that too. And if you have 1 year premium seed to spoon access, you get free shipping on all your orders. And we have all of Park Seeds store throughout our app too. You can just go up to that shop tab on the very top of the app.
1 second. I teased earlier showing the seed starting mode. I think I want to go ahead and show that now, but I've got to pull over a screenshot. So give me 1 second.
Julia had an idea for what we were talking about earlier with the planning. Maybe add another garden and just name it Spring Garden for it, so that way you just have like two different gardens in there.
Yeah, that's definitely a workaround. I wonder though if we can come up with some sort of a feature that makes that where you can, because we have archive, which is looking back at a garden, but I think we could do a similar thing with kind of, I don't know what the word is, wasn't it? I don't know. There's a word there. Okay, I'm pulling the screenshot up. Give me 1 second. Cool, here it is. Okay, so this is a sneak peek of a new seed starting mode that we have that will be rolling out hopefully this week. So this one is showing a biodome. We've got all the pre-configurations in here for the different size biodomes. We've also just got like a default seed starting tray that you can set to be whatever size you want. You can see the main differences here are the UI is going to look different. So it looks like an actual biodome. It's easier to kind of see the difference between this and gardens. There's also no more companion stuff in here because it doesn't matter if you start seeds next to each other that are bad companions. That doesn't really apply there. And we're also going to make it easier to transplant these out into your garden. So one of the ways I talked about briefly earlier how you can split plants up and or you can, yeah, the feature we're working on where you can split plants up. That's where this really comes in. So if you have that top row of tomatoes and all three of them are the same tomato and you didn't want to create individual plants for each of them when you were doing the seed starting, then you can just log it once as one tomato. And then there'll be a feature where you can go in and split that up to be multiple tomatoes. And we're also going to make it really easy to move these to other gardens so that you can take your seed starting transplants once they're ready to go out in the garden and easily move them to the gardens they need to go. And then they're off and running and logging from the garden at that point. So this is the next thing that we're going to be releasing. In addition to the stuff that we talked about earlier with being able to set your own custom grid icons for both plants and custom plants. Thanks, Harry. We worked so hard to get it to look like a biodome. Like you have no idea how much time we spent on different images and trying to get it to look good and stuff. So glad to hear that it looks like that. Okay, so that is a sneak peek of what is coming next. Again, hopefully that'll be coming out this week. But also we would love to know what are your ideas for ways that we can improve this. How can we make this better? As everyone starts to use the planner, we would love to hear from you. You can let us know through any of the social networks. You can comment on any of our videos. Like Carrie and I, it all comes to us, so we're going to see it one way or another. But we would love to hear. How can we make this better? How can we improve it? Some other things that the garden towers.
We get this question every time.
So technically, you could use this for garden tower now, and let me show you how you can do that. This is a workaround, but 5-row garden tower is what we'll call this. So what I would do is make the length how many rows it is, and then the width be how many pockets are in that row. I think there's 8 probably in a green stalk. So
yes,
and I did that backwards.
Look out count.
This is good because it shows me it shows how I can reset it. So I did this the opposite way of how I'm wanting to do it. So I'm going to reset the garden layout. And what I want is this to be 8 and this to be 5. Why did I do it wrong again? I bet Patrick is just cringing right now because I could have seen exactly what it was going to look like down below. But okay, so here is my fictional garden tower. And the way I would log this is I would put a plant in each. So, like this bottom row would represent the bottom layer of that garden tower. Um, yeah, I think I got it backwards again. I had it right the first time. I'm sorry, y'all. When you're like sharing your screen and it just nothing ever, your brain doesn't work right. That's how it works. Okay, 5 by 8 is what we're looking at. This is the garden tower. So each row is a different level of the tower, and then each one of these would be a pocket. Not perfect, obviously. We have room for improvement, but it is a workaround of how you could use this to keep track of a garden tower. Um, we've talked about as a team ways that we could potentially do this another way. Like in an ideal world, we could have something that looks like a garden tower that you can like spin with your finger. I think we're getting a lot more complicated once we get into that route. So I don't know if we can necessarily do that, but definitely on our list, and we're looking at it. So, but for now, you can use it like this to keep track of things that are in a garden tower. We've also another thing that we're looking at is the ability to kind of see. So right now, you can only see one garden at a time. We're working on a way for you to be able to kind of see all these gardens at once. Aside from we do have this screen where you can see them like this, but ability to kind of lay them out where they actually are, and then you can click on that garden to go in and edit it from there. So that's something else that we're looking at as well for the planner.
We're getting a lot of questions, and there's a lot of chat. I'm trying to keep up with it all
All right.
about the biodome sponges,
Okay.
and like how they work and all that too.
Okay. You
And
want to put those up and we can talk about that?
there's a lot of them and lots of answers and replies back and forth. So I'm not sure which one is going to be the best. So I know somebody was asking like how they work.
Gotcha. So it's basically just like a sponge-like material that makes it really easy for the roots to grow through. And you take that entire sponge out of the biodome and you plant that. Yeah. So you plant the entire sponge just like it was a transplant that you got from the nursery, and it came in one of those little seed starting things. Um, just the same type of thing. You plant the entire thing, and I don't have specifics on the materials that are in them, but I know it's on the website for the biodome. If you go there, you can find some of the details on it. But yeah, it's really nice because the roots meet no resistance trying to get through. It's not like if you're using a seed starting mix, that's generally pretty safe. But like I've had seed starting mixes in the past where there's chunks of stuff like little pieces of wood or something, and that can impact root development, especially on those tiny seedlings. So I really like the biodome sponges. I like the biodome in general. It makes seed starting so much easier for things that are difficult or that take longer. Things like peppers and tomatoes, you'll see accelerated start times in the biodome for sure. Also, things like rosemary that are typically difficult to start from seed. That's another thing we've had a lot of success starting from seed in the
Yeah, we
biodome.
actually for the first time were able to like start a lot of like the difficult herbs this season. I was amazed. I was like, "Oh, this is so exciting" because they just thrived in the biodome. Oh, here we go. Thank you.
Thank you, Harry.
Yeah, look at that. There you
I
go.
got a small question from Charlotte. I want to pull up here. So you can pull up the garden on your desktop computer by using the desktop version of our app. I'm going to put it in the chat. Oh, you already got it. Cool. Yeah, I put it in the chat too, a link in the chat. So, and then I see a question from Donna. The biodome planner, we are hoping to get that out this week. That's our goal. It's Patrick's going to have it ready for me to start testing it today. And then assuming all that goes well, then we will roll it out. We'll roll it out to our beta testers first. Donna, I think you're already in that group. I think a lot of people in this call are already in that group. So we'll roll it out to all of you for a couple days just to make sure everything looks good, and then it'll roll out to all the other users probably over the weekend around that time, assuming testing goes well. But I don't expect there to be issues with the seed starting stuff. We didn't change a whole lot to make that happen. There was a lot of visual stuff that we changed. So we'll have to see how the changing the plant photo stuff goes, because that was kind of a bigger change. So we'll see how all that goes. But
We had some really great suggestions. Like this one from Ginger was really good. I wanted to save and pull up for height, and that is definitely something that we have looked at whenever we are talking about like planning out your garden and how to arrange it. And yes, we are looking at the complexities of it and how to know east from west and all that in your garden bed. And yeah.
yeah, because one thing that we would love to be able to do next is make it to where you can come into these garden bed themes and then not only add all varieties to your garden bed, but have it actually lay them out for you of where everything's supposed to go. That's one of the next steps we want to take with this as well. So, not there yet. The first step was building the planner, getting it really solid, making it to where it's really nice and easy to use. And then some of these next steps involve using a combination of AI and some of our data to lay the beds out for you to make it easy to know what's going to go where.
Here, really quick, I wanted to answer Chrissy's question. So, yes, so you can get everything from Park Seed, and these are the Park Seed Biodome sponges. And yes, you can get all of those through the app. There's a little shop button up there on the Seed to Spoon app. And you know what? I've realized we didn't even have our download. There we go. We have a QR code right there to download the app as well. But you can also get it on the Park Seed website as well. They have them all there.
I just put a link in chat for the refill sponges on the Park Seed website.
And then will you show how to look at plants just warm and cool, like show the filters?
Yeah. So if we go to the plants list, then we've got a lot of really nice features that let you filter that list here. So if you click on filters, then you can filter it down to only see like here's favorites, custom plants, stuff you can plant now, harvest quickly. If you want to filter down to just cool season or warm season, you can do that here. And that's a quick and easy way to see the things that you can plant and the cool. You can also combine these together. So maybe you want to see something that's cool season that tolerates shade. And then you've got a list here of that there. You can stack these on top of each other.
I was laughing at Michelle's comment here because she's excited to get her biodome set up rather than all over Christmas stuff. Oh, and then, yep, SmartPot says they can't have Christmas without the fresh herbs. So that's true. You need all that rosemary. Okay. I have drawn a winner already, too. Are you ready to announce that?
I think so. Do we have any other questions? Any other features you want to see more of? Any suggestions we want to talk about? Awesome. Thanks, Tanya.
Okay. Well, here we go. Without further ado, drum roll.
Did it work?
It worked. Congratulations,
Ryan.
Ryan. You are the lucky winner of the 1-year premium Seed to Spoon app subscription. So with this, you're going to be getting, you'll be able to do all of this visual garden layout for multiple garden beds instead of just one. So you can do as many as you want to. You'll have free shipping on all of your orders that you do, and I could go on and on with all of the benefits, but yes, you get a lot of benefits.
Free shipping too on all of your orders through Park Seed.
So make sure you email us at seed2spoon or info@seed2spoon.net and we'll get you hooked up.
All right, Harry, let's talk about printing for a second. So I've seen this come up a little bit, and I'm curious to know, like, what would you want to print and what kind of data would you want to be in the thing that you print? So definitely open to the idea. Just want to better understand what you want the printout to look like, what kind of purpose it would serve, like what you would do with it. Just want to fully understand that. Harry, I think you're already in our beta group. If you could email Carrie just some details around that, or if you have an example maybe of something that you would like to match, let me know. And anyone else out there, if printing is something that you'd like to see, reach out to us. That same email address. Can you pop that info up again? That's how you can reach out to us and just let us know like what would you want to see in printing. What would you want to be printed, and how would you use it? Just want to better understand that.
I do want to pop this question up too. Yes, this will be available after the fact. It's saved to both YouTube and Facebook. So wherever it looks like you're watching on YouTube. So yes, you can go back in and also go back in and comment too, and you get entered in to win as well for next week's drawing to do the 1 year premium Seed to Spoon subscription.
And we do this every week, Olivia. Not necessarily a demo of the app, but we talk about something every week.
Mhm.
And you can go see all those on our YouTube channel. There's a list of all of our live streams where we've done these. So.
Okay. Emily says she's already started seed shopping. Yep,
Awesome.
that's great. Definitely check out Park Seed too, because they have the biggest seed sale going on right now of the year with 20% off of all of their seeds. And even if you don't have free shipping with your yearly subscription, you'll get a discount on your shipping as well.
Yeah, $2.95 shipping for seed orders.
Yeah. So it's great deals going on right now. Okay, I'll go back to the main screen. Okay, I got a printing.
Just let us know. Now, one thing I want to mention though is the app should work without internet connection. Now, the first time you open it, it requires internet to like just set up, but then from then on, it should work without an internet connection. We've worked really hard to try and make that work over the years, so that should still be working. But I'm not saying we're not going to do printing. I just want to mention that you can do that. Just let us know what you want to see in those printouts. And I do want to mention too, we're not going to be doing a live stream next week. We're going to take the week off for Thanksgiving next week, so we're not doing a live stream next week, but we'll be back the week after that.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to it. Seeing you all. I hope you all have a good Thanksgiving next week, and we will see you after that. And we'll jump in and start talking all about. I don't even know what our next topic is. I do need to propagate soon, so we're going to be doing some propagating, seed starting, and I know a little bit of everything. So I hope that you guys will join us here again in 2 weeks.